Hey guys, it's Miss Goldie. I am so excited that I get to deliver you some knowledge right now. I've really missed you guys. So if you have your Topic 1415 packet, go ahead and take it out. If you don't, go ahead and find your math book and turn to page 826. If you don't have either, go ahead and find yourself a notebook paper and pause the video until you have either one of those three, preferably your Topic 1415 packet. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Topic 14 was all about graphing coordinates on a coordinate plane. We learned about the x-axis, the y-axis, the origin, and how to graph those ordered pairs. Then in topic 15, it was all about analyzing patterns and relationships. And I told you that these two were so similar, I clumped them together. These are all of those words that were associated with topic 14. When you get a second, go back, read over them, look at those I can statements just so you can familiarize yourself with what you need to know by the end of these two topics. So right now we're focusing on this standard, that I can create two numerical patterns using rules that are given to me. Let's go ahead and start on topic 15.1. I just want to refresh your memory. It's been a while. In 15.1, I introduced two very key vocabulary words, number sequence and corresponding terms. A number sequence was that set of numbers that follows a rule. It was usually add something, add 5, add 10, add 15. And then if you had two number sequences, you could look at the number sequence and look at their corresponding terms. Meaning if this was a number sequence and this was a number sequence, 4 and 5 are corresponding terms. They're numbers that are in the same position in each of the sequences. So 15.1 was really easy. You had the same rule for both sequences, and then you had to find the relationship. So in this case, the height of the plants is what you were comparing, and we found that the rosemary plant was always going to be 1 7/10 taller than the sage plant. Okay. 15.2 was more numerical patterns. It got a little spicier. Instead of having the same rule for each number sequence, you had two different number sequences, but two separate rules. For example, this one you added 30, this one you added 120. And you still had to look and identify those corresponding terms in order to develop the relationship. Look and see what do those corresponding terms have in common. So in this case, we said the total number of miles biked is always 4 times greater than the total miles ran. Now we're going to go ahead and tie it all together. We're going to tie topic 14 together with topic 15 together. So, like I said, if you don't have your packet, the expectation is that you are writing this on a piece of paper, or you're following along in your math book on page 826. If you're just sitting there and you're watching, you're not going to get as much out of it as when you're actually writing. For me, I have to write everything, guys. It helps me better process when I'm learning, and it puts those things from short-term memory into long-term memory. So, without further ado, let's get started. I know, you guys miss me. You don't have to say it out loud. We all know you're thinking it. All right, let's go ahead and write our objective. What are we trying to accomplish by the end of this lesson? Your objective today is I can analyze patterns, which is what we did in lesson 15.1 and 15.2. But here's our tie-in with topic 14. And graph ordered pairs. Generated from number sequences. Remember, feel free to stop this video if I'm going too fast so that you can catch up. That's the beauty of having me on video, is if you think I'm going too fast now, you can pause me. So essentially what we're doing is we're going to be looking at those patterns and looking at those relationships that we've been noticing from these patterns, and now we're going to graph those relationships. That's how topic 14 and 15 are related. Let's look at the following problem we have listed. Jill earns $5 per hour babysitting. Robin earns $15 per hour teaching ice skating lessons. The girls made a table using the rule add 5 to show Robin's earnings. Oh, we're missing something there. And add 15 to show Robin's earnings. Do this one, add 15 to show Robin's earnings. Complete the table to compare the earnings and graph the ordered pairs of the corresponding terms. All right, y'all, table's already done. We've got Jill, we've got Robin. Let's think back to all the information we know. We've got to figure out where we're going before we go ahead and get on the bus and start driving. We know that Jill earns $5 per hour, so I'm going to go ahead and put a plus 5. And we know that Robin earns $15 per hour, so we're going to do a plus 15. And we're going to complete the table with that information. So for 0 hours, does it say they started off with anything? No. So we know at 0 hours, they've earned $0. Let's fill in Jill's earnings. After 1 hour, she makes $5. After 2 hours, she makes $10. After 3 hours, she makes $15. After 4 hours, she makes $20. All right, let's do Robin's earnings. That's plus 15. She earns $15 every hour. After the first hour, she has $15. After the second hour, she has $30. After the third hour, $45. And after the fourth hour, she has $60. Before we go ahead and graph it and make up the relationship, look at that and look and figure out a relationship between corresponding terms. Let's ask for these deeper questions to make sure we really understand what does this data mean. Why does each sequence begin with a 0? I said it earlier, but go back. Why does each sequence begin with a 0? Go ahead and pause it and fill in your own answer. All right, each sequence begins with a 0 because each girl earns $0 for 0 hours of work. Guys, it's hour 0, meaning they haven't earned anything. They earn it per hour. So we can say that at the very beginning, hour 0, they both have not earned anything. Let's take a moment to look at the second one. The first big takeaway in our objective, the analyzing the pattern part. What is the relationship between the amount of money Jill earns and the amount of money Robin earns for the same number of hours? So let's go ahead and look at some corresponding terms. Remember, each of these are corresponding terms. Jill's earnings are one number sequence. Robin's earnings are another number sequence. So what relationship can you state when we're looking at 5 and 15, 10, 30, 15, and 45? Go ahead and pause it and write down what you think. Okay, guys, if it was something like Robin earns 3 times as much as Jill, you are correct. The key word here that if you were missing is times. You had to have times. Robin is earning 3 times more than Jill. Look at this. 10 times 3, 30. 5 times 3, 15. 15 times 3, 45. What does the ordered pair 1545 mean? Okay, let's go ahead and identify that. We know that X is Jill's earnings. Robin's earnings are Y. Let's find that. 1545. What does that point stand for? What does that point stand for? Take a moment and write it down. We know that each one of these points, this is hour 0. This is after the first hour. This is after the second hour. This is after the third hour. So that point shows us that after 3 hours, because it's the third point, Jill has $15 and Robin has $45. Some people prefer the chart. Some people prefer the graph. You're going to get to the same conclusion. I prefer the graph because I'm a more visual person, whereas if you just like the numbers, you'll probably prefer the chart, but you can use those numbers in the chart for the graph. Let's look at your guided practice. Humans can visit the first zone of the ocean by scuba diving. Scuba stands for self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. After a dive, it's important to stop from time to time on the way back up to prevent nitrogen bubbles from building up in the blood. So when you ever decide to get scuba certified, which believe it or not your teacher is, there is math involved in order to get your scuba certification. Let's look, but we're not going to focus on that right now. We're just going to look at this problem. 2 people are scuba diving. One person descends 5 feet each second. The more experienced person descends 10 feet each second. So descend means they're essentially going down, guys. They're descending to the ocean floor. Okay, so person 1, it says 5 feet each second. Person 2 is 10 feet each second. Let's go ahead and fill this out. So after 1 second, 5, 10. After 2 seconds, 10, 20. After 3 seconds, 15, 30. After 4 seconds, 20, 40. After 5 seconds, 25, 50. I would like for you to try number 2 by yourself. Go ahead and pause it and fill in your own answer. What relationship do you notice between the depth of the first person and the depth of the second person? Excuse me. So we're looking at these right here, that's a corresponding term. This is one sequence, this is another sequence. And we're trying to figure out what relationship we can notice between each number sequence, but within that, the corresponding terms. So if you said something like person 2 is descending twice as deep as person 1, That's correct. Something where it's saying person 2 is descending faster, or excuse me, not faster, but deeper than person 1, you're correct. Then they wanted you to graph the ordered pairs to show. It already tells you person 1 is going to be your X coordinate, person 2 is going to be your Y. So we're going to use this chart to fill in our data on our graph. So they both start at 0, 0. Go ahead and pause it and fill it in yourself, or you can fill it in. I'll be real quiet as you're doing yours. All right, so it should look like that. What ordered pair represents how far each person descends in 5 seconds? So we're going to go to the 5th order pair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that shows 25, 50, means that when person 1 has gone 25 feet, person 2 has gone 50 feet, and this is after 5 seconds. All right, guys, now that you've gotten the notes down, you've got 3 things you have to do in your online textbook. I want you to go watch the video. I've assigned it to you under the Classes tab. Excuse me. Go to the Classes tab. I've assigned you 3 things. The first thing I want you to do is the video. Watch the video. After the video, you're going to click on the 15-3 practice. Please do the 15-3 practice. Then when you're done, you're going to complete the 15-3 quick check. That will be graded. Your quick checks will be graded. Please, guys, if you don't feel comfortable with this before taking the quick check, I strongly suggest you getting out your textbook and you can actually complete the problems on page 827. This is what would have been your seat work if you're doing math workshop. Remember, if you have any questions at all, you can go to the questions tab in Teams, write your question. I will respond to you as quickly as I can. Good luck. I miss you guys, and I will see you for the next lesson. Hopefully see you soon. Bye.